Alrighty, well, let's see now then. We're going to comb Rocky's fur is what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to comb your fur, sweetie. I'm using the wider teeth right now at the start because his fur has some mats in it and some knots. So the wider teeth of the comb are better, okay, to comb through the worst of it. He hasn't had a good combing in a while because his comb has been missing. I tried using a different comb on him that's more for people, but it didn't work as well. It worked sorta, but it didn't work as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to comb his fur. He lets me comb his fur now. He wouldn't let me comb his fur when he was young, though. I think he thought that getting your fur combed was a sissy thing. Sort of like when I was young, I know as a young guy, you would never go to a hairdresser. You always went to a barber to get your hair cut. That's back when I still had hair, because hairdressers were for ladies, and so if you went to a hairdresser, you were kind of an effeminate outfit. That was the perception anyway. And so, yeah, you went to a barber. You went to a barber shop, and you'd sit there on a chair that had been there since the 1950s and wait your turn. And you'd read magazines that had been there since the 1950s. Now, this was the 1980s. And there'd be like a big fish that somebody had caught, and they'd done it had a taxidermy thing done to it, and it would be in a box on the wall, and there'd be a set of like moose antlers or deer antlers or something mounted on the wall, and there'd be all men in there smoking cigarettes and talking about cars and politics and women, and yeah. And that's where you went to get your hair cut. And of course, all the floor tiles would all be, remember the old green and white floor tiles? And of course, they'd all be chipped and stuff. So you had chipped green and white floor tiles, you had kind of a green painted walls, and you had those old waiting room chairs that were all made out of chrome and red naugahyde. And that were overstuffed, made out of chrome and red naugahyde, and magazines that had been there since Arthur Fonzarelli was living above the Cunningham's garage. And if that had been a real thing, which of course it was a TV show, but you know what I mean, though. And yeah, look at all that. Hey, that's a lot of fur, Rocky. Look at that fur. Holy smokes, man. We pulled all that out of your hide. We did. All of that fur. We could build another Rocky. We could build another Rocky, we could. Oops, now he's got to go check it out. He says, I got to go check that out. Hey, we could build another Rocky with all that fur. Look, he's having a look at it there. He says, did all that, look at the look on his face. It's like, did all that come out of me? That all came off of you, Rocky. Anyway, that is where we go to get our hair cut when I was young. A place like that, because otherwise you weren't a real man. There we go. I don't want that falling down and getting in somewhere where I don't want it. Anyway, otherwise you weren't a real man. Are you going to come and get your fur comb some more? Hey, come on. Get your fur comb some more. We're not finished yet. We've only just begun. We've only just begun. Remember that song? Anyway, I think Rocky was of that same mentality. I think he figured getting your fur combed was a sissy thing. But he's mellowed in his old age, and he's come to realize that getting your fur combed is actually quite a good experience. And so, he's okay with it. Yeah. My goodness, Rocky, you're beautiful. I'm not sure what you guys can see right now because he's in a kind of a weird position here. He just does what he wants. He doesn't care. He says, screw you and your YouTube channel. I'm doing what I want. He's quite a cat anyway. I love him, you know. And I love that about him, that he's that way. I do. I'm feeling a little better than I was earlier. I might even be able to go back to sleep soon. But I'll tell you, I was friggin' sick. I really was. It was horrible. 2 o'clock this morning, I honestly was going through, I'm sure, at least 4 of Dante's 7 stages of hell. I really was. It was awful. All simultaneously. It was just awful. Anyway, here we go. Whoa, there you go. All right, now, look at that. I pulled a bunch more fur out of his hide there. I did. Look how handsome you look. You're beautiful. You're an exceptionally beautiful creature. You are. You can't call everybody a creature and get away with it, but Rocky doesn't mind because he recognizes he is in fact a creature, and he's a beautiful creature too. He is. Yes, look at him here. He's having a great old time. We're doing some nice combing here of his fur. I'm still using the wide teeth on the comb because I find that it's better when his fur hasn't been combed in a while, especially. You can kind of just drag the comb through there and pick up all the knots and stuff. You can. Yeah, hey, you'll be more comfortable. You will be. I mean, he has to wear this fur all the time, you know. This is constantly with him. And if it gets all knotted and matted and stuff, then he's laying on top of knots and mats whenever he lays down and stuff. And that can't be very nice. It'd be like laying on a really lumpy mattress, you know, which I'm actually doing right now. This mattress isn't very good anymore. It's an old mattress. Anyway, there's a bunch of fur. There it is. There's a bunch of shit that I pulled out of his hide. Look at that, eh? Like I say, we could build another Rocky just with all this. Oh. All right. Anyway, that's good enough for now. We'll see y'all later.